Hello and welcome to the channel, and welcome to this festive edition of Guitar Gubbins, the show where normally we check out some of the weirder accessories in the guitar world. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, as I'm sure you're aware, or at least if you're watching this when this video goes live. If you're watching this in like June or July, then it isn't. But if you're watching it when this video goes live, it's that time of the year again where you're probably thinking about what to buy the guitarist in your life for Christmas. Today I'm hopefully going to help you out with some ideas for that. So we're first going to go through all of the items that I featured on Guitar Gubbins this year and discuss whether I think they're a good idea for a gift for a guitarist. And then I'm going to go on and give you some just general ideas and advice on what to buy for a guitarist. So we'll start at the beginning with episode 1 of Guitar Gubbins. Now in that episode, which you can watch up here by the way, I featured the Shark Capo, the flashing picks, or the flashing LED picks, and the Ebo. So we'll go in order that I featured them in. We'll start with the Shark Capo. So this thing came off Temu, so you know, morally questionable, but it worked fine as a capo. I think if the guitarist in your life really loves sharks, then maybe it's a good gift, but for most people, I think just go into your nearest guitar shop if they are after a capo and just buy them a decent one from your local guitar shop, or even off Amazon, a D'Addario or something like that. Next up we had the Ebo, which they're about 100 quid I believe, but absolutely would recommend if your budget stretches that far for a guitarist that doesn't have one already. Awesome gift. If someone bought me one as a present, I'd be really chuffed with that. And then on to the LED picks. Now these were horrible to play with and a bit gimmicky, but you can find them really cheap online for literally a couple of quid. So as a bit of a jokey present, they're probably fine. And yeah, as a bit of a stocking filler, as a laugh, I don't see why not really. Moving on to episode 2, and that was the chord presser, and if you've seen that video you already know how much I hated that thing. I thought it was complete rubbish and was just a complete waste of money, so avoid that one like the plague. And the final episode from this year was episode 3, which was the Vox Amplug, specifically the AC30, although they do others. Now this again is a bit of a dependent one. I think if they have any sort of practice amp or really any amp that they play at home, then it's probably not worth it, unless, I don't know, they go away a lot and can only carry light but somehow can take a guitar with them. I don't know, but unless they are specifically after something that they can play with headphones, I would say that this probably isn't a go. But like I said in that video, I think for the right person it would be a good gift. So those are the products that I featured in episodes this year. Now I know there weren't many of them, but hopefully there will be a lot more in the year to come. Drop me a comment down below and let me know if there is a product that you'd like me to feature in a future episode in 2025. So moving on to just general advice, a few things that I've come up with that I think would be great presents that you might not think of are things like 9-volt batteries. Now if the guitarist in your life is into pedals or has any pedals, especially if they're not specifically on a pedal board with a power supply and they only use them from time to time, 9-volt batteries are great because most full-size pedals take them, and as someone who powers pedals with them quite a lot, it's a fairly regular occurrence that you go to plug something in and find the battery's dead, so having spares of those is always very helpful. The other thing that is always helpful, and that is a nice small thing that's always appreciated, is strings and picks. With this one it's probably best to find out what the preference is, because most guitarists, if they're more into their guitar, will have a preference on what picks and what sets of strings they like, so if you can find that out, even better. One other thing I've got written here is things that change the way you play, more specifically capos, slides, or something like the Ebo like I mentioned earlier, something that forces you to play in a different way, especially if the guitarist in your life is a songwriter. They will really appreciate something that pushes them out of their comfort zone and forces them to write or play in a different way, because that's where ideas come from. I think if you're looking to spend a little bit more as well, pedals are always a great option, especially if you can find weird or quirky ones that someone wouldn't necessarily buy for themselves. For example, my lovely girlfriend bought me this, the Gonkulator, which is a ring mod distortion. Now, I never would have bought this pedal for myself because it's just bizarre and it's really weird, but it is super cool and I really appreciated being bought it. Now, my final bit of advice for this video is a bit of a public service announcement from guitarists to everyone else. Just because it has a guitar on it doesn't mean we want it. There are loads and loads of these novelty items that are in the shape of a guitar, like chopping boards, spatulas, all sorts of stuff. I'm sure almost every guitarist has been bought something like this at some point. Now, not that we're ungrateful for these things, but unless we have a specific need for that thing, chances are we probably don't want it. The guitar shape thing is just a bit of a novelty, but take the chopping board example. If we don't actually need a chopping board, then we're probably not best pleased to be bought a chopping board, if you see where I'm coming from. So there you go, there's a few bits of buying advice when it comes to buying a present for a guitarist this Christmas. I'm sure if they're anything like me or the guitarists I know, they've probably been dropping hints to you over what they want anyway. But here's a few ideas in case you can't afford that custom shop Fender or that £2,000 Marshall amp that they're after. I think all that's left for me to say is I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.